Broadsword calling Danny boy.
Okay, YouTubers, this is Joe from ArtAlienTV. Another game of interplanetary I Spy going on here. We're looking at the rock nest image taken a couple of years back in 2012. Loads of anomalies in this image, but today we're just going to be concentrating on items of clothing. We're trying to determine the size of the alien or Martian race, as they should be called. There's shoes and leather bags. There's all sorts of items of clothing lying around on the Mars surface if you know how to spot them. Here's a very clear one from the rock nest near the lower center of the source image. It's about size 12 or 14 from what I can tell. Could be a bit larger. That's a sort of estimation based on the distance away from the rover. They do give you a sort of image scale for some of these images, although I do think a lot of them are out, quite a way out actually. But pay attention to the stitching on this shoe from Armenia and this one from Lenbreen. Look at the style, look at the old-fashioned style of leather, soft leather clothing. Very much like this bag here. Now this bag is full up. It's actually got stuff in it. You can see the stitching on the left of the bag there, on the right edge of the bag. Very clear stitching. You'll see more of that in a second. I'll come back to that. There's also loads and loads of organic material nearby. It looks like petrified wood. But look at the stitching. Look at the stitching on that bag on the right hand side of it. It's sort of lying on its back, but looks full up. It looks like the bag is full. I mean, I'd love to know what was in that bag. It looks like brown leather, maybe pig skin. I have found pigs' skulls and loads and hundreds of other animal skulls on Mars. So, you know, they're obviously making stuff from animal skin. Here we go. Look at the stitching there. We're getting a bit of a close up there. There's a nice knot there where the thongs kind of sewn through it there and tied over. There's some petrified wood here by the looks of it. I do actually think a lot of these rocks are petrified wood. There's tons of it all over the place if you know how to identify it. Here's another close-up of the bag. This is a raw image here. This hasn't been enhanced at all, so you know it's pretty clear. There's the old shoe again from Earth, just to show the similarity in the stitching there. Right, we're going to go back through this video again because it's very short. What I'm trying to determine here is what level the Martian race is or was at that left these items. Now, when you compare a lot of the clothing and other anomalies that I found on the surface, when you compare them to similar items from Earth, they look very old-fashioned. Some of the alien corpses I've found seem to be wearing very old-fashioned clothing. It doesn't quite add up. I mean, there may be more than one culture on Mars. There may be dozens. There may be one or two cultures that are very advanced. There may be one or two cultures that are quite backward in that respect. Here's another close-up of that shoe. Now, it does look similar to the colour of the rocks around it, but that doesn't mean anything. Saying something is the same colour as something else doesn't stop it being what it is. You know, our next door neighbours have a blue car, we have a blue car. Our car's still a car. You know, just because the next door neighbour's car is blue doesn't stop Mars being a car. So, and bear in mind that a lot of these images are filtered quite heavily with the old puke filter, as we now call it. So you're probably not seeing the true colours of a lot of these things anyway. This is the white balance version of the rock nest image, although it still looks very different from other white balanced images from nearby areas in Gale Crater. So I really do wonder what they're doing with some of these color filters they're using. But you can see blues and browns and various greens in a lot of these images as well. If you enhance the contrast on a lot of them, you see lots of green popping out. There seems to be moss growing in lots of areas. There's types of fungi in some places growing on some of these rocks. There is water on Mars. There's ice on Mars. If there's ice and water, there's probably life. There's another look at the knot on this bag here. Look at the way that it's tied over and stitched through. It's easy to misidentify some of this stuff because there is so much junk lying around, and it's all kind of thrown together in what was probably a tsunami there. They must have had some large disaster that threw everything into the crater, and it's all kind of jumbled up and left there in the mud, and some of it's fossilized, some of it's just petrified and dried out, baked in the sun and frozen. It gets very, very cold at night there. Now, for image comparison, we're going to look at another boot or shoe, also made of what looks like soft leather again, brown leather. This is from another video I did very recently. There's lots of other anomalies in this video, which I'll quickly run through. I've sped the video up to ×2, so we don't take too long over a lot of this, and the part we're really interested in is at the end of this segment here. There's another shoe with some laces on. You know, I mean, this is awesome. This one here. Oh yeah, this is the little dinosaur fossil here. Not very large. It's only a 2 or 3 foot long, the whole thing here. This is really what we want to concentrate on here. What we want to look at is what's underneath this rock or fossil, whatever you want to call it. There we go. There's the enhanced image. This is some kind of dinosaur fossil. There's the lower mandible there, like a lower beak. There's its head. Now, a lot of these fossils are broken and jumbled up with other things, so this isn't a whole dinosaur we're looking at here. It's just part of one by the look of it. But what I'm particularly interested in showing you here is the shoe that's just below it to the left. I don't know if you can see it yet, but when I highlight it for you, you will see it. It's the Protoceratops. This fossil may or may not be one of these. I've just put this in as an image comparison, really, just to give you an idea of what we may be looking at here. A bit ambiguous, that one, but the shoe I think is very, very clear. I've found quite a few shoes now on Mars. There's more coming up later. They seem to be human sized, size 10, 12. Some of them I found are very, very large, size 20, size 23, 24 or something like that. Is there even a size 23? I don't know. So not only, here's the shoe. Now when you enhance the contrast a bit there, look at the brown, look at the lace. You can see a lace hanging off the edge of it there. It's kind of half sunk into the dirt, but very similar in style to this medieval boot here. As I said before, a lot of these items of clothing look very old-fashioned, like you would expect to see on Earth hundreds and hundreds of years ago, even 1,000 years ago. This particular one looks like something from the sort of 14th or 15th century, which was very similar style to some worn in Europe. What can I say? There may well be lots of different cultures on Mars. What we may be looking at is something very, very recent. This may mean that the Martian civilization is fairly backward compared to ours. There may be different levels of civilization on Mars. There may be some that are stuck in the past, maybe, that are still hunting and gathering and wearing armour and leather clothing. I found lots of pieces of armour, even a spear and a sword, I found helmets which look old-fashioned, again like you would see from Earth about 1,000 years ago. I did study at college. I studied arms and armour as an illustrator, technical illustrator. So I do know quite a lot about this kind of thing, and I was fully trained in illustrating infantry weapons and armour, and have many books on them on that subject. So I'm going to look at that again just to refresh our memories there. There may well be a highly advanced civilization on Mars now. There may be 2 or 3. We don't know. From what I'm seeing on the ground, at least one of the civilizations on Mars is old-fashioned, very retro. I mean, brown leather is really retro stuff here. There may also be, like on Earth, where you have different cultures that develop at different, very different rates. We have an advanced Western civilization, and you also have, at the same time, you have people who were living in the Stone Age in the deep forests of South America, and in places like Borneo and Vietnam. There are people living in the forest there that are completely cut off from the rest of the world and have no electricity and are literally living in the Stone Age. They have very basic tools and weapons, and alongside that you go 100 or 200 miles away and you've got an airport, you know. So when looking at another planet and looking at other cultures, you've got to really start thinking about what level that culture is at. Are there more than one culture? Are there multiple cultures there? Are they all at the same level? I don't think they are. You may find on other parts of Mars there may be underground cities there, incredibly advanced. The Black Salter Citadel structures that I found, or that I published recently, show that there seems to be some very high-tech stuff going on up there, very large buildings. There seems to be spacecraft in certain areas. There's one on the side of Olympus Mons that I published recently, which is over 1 kilometre wide. The Saucer Citadel structures, one of them's 4 kilometres wide, and there's probably a couple of kilometres high. I mean, these are enormous structures. So what you have is a very schizophrenic and split version of events going on Mars. This may be due to multiple cultures. Who knows? I'm quickly going to run through this one here. This is one I thought was the last one actually, but this is Sol 50. Now I've sped this one up because if you want to see that these anomalies here, the dinosaur and the little aeroplane and stuff like that, the best thing to do is to go to my channel and watch this particular video on its own, really, and watch it properly, because there's so much to see. But the reason I put this on here is because there's a couple of shoes on here in this image that are similar to the ones you've already seen, and I thought it'd be good to compare them back to back, really. But this is just going to flick through quickly the other anomalies in this particular part of Gale Crater. So this is sped up. This is the dinosaur, the blue-eyed dinosaur, as I call him. Got a nice smile on him. You can see his eye there. You can see the mouth. You can see his nose. Now this is a dinosaur skull, probably fossilized or petrified, freeze-dried or whatever. There's his eye. Now that eye is actually blue. I haven't put that blue in, just in case you did wonder. All I've done there is play around with the contrast, and this blue just jumps out at you, as it does with many of the images and stuff from Mars. You know, it's a lot bluer than we're told. There's blue sky on Mars. There's polar ice caps. There are trees and stuff up in the northern polar regions, in the melt zone regions of the north. Mars goes green in the spring. Large areas of it go green. Anyone with a powerful telescope will tell you that. If they've looked at Mars at the right time of year, they will see it change its colour. So what we're being told about Mars and what's actually going on are two very different things. Here's what may be a shoe. I'm not too sure about this one. It's a bit unclear. It could just be a rock that's shaped like a foot or shoe. There do seem to be other foot-shaped fossils and anomalies in the surrounding area, but they're a bit small, some of them, can't really tell. This looks like some kind of coral or organic growth on some rock there. Nothing spectacular about that. This is one of my favourite finds of recent months, the mini aircraft. This could be a drone. It could be it could even be a toy aeroplane. I didn't think of that before, but it's very small. It's only a couple, 2 or 3 foot long. It may be some kind of submarine device, similar to something that you might drag behind a minesweeper. It could have been dragged through the water like a minesweeping device. Who knows? It looks like a very small aircraft that's had its wings torn off. Sort of crashed there. There's no sign of any sort of cockpit or anything. So I do actually think this is some kind of drone. The pointy prop part sticking out on the right of the object, and the tailplane on the left there. Who's to say for sure? But it's certainly not a rock. This thing, it's some kind of technology we're looking at here. This is another quick look at the little canoe, one end of a canoe. This is also very small. This is only about 12 inches long, maybe even slightly less. Could only be 10 inches long. Hard to say exactly. This looks very much like a monkey skull or ape skull of some sort. It still has hair on it. It has an ear in the centre there. You can see the teeth and the nose on the left. Now here's what I'm talking about. Now this shoe, if it is a shoe, is extremely large. This is something like 20 inches, which is crazy. Like I said, this is also a very strange skull here, alien elongated cone head. Not the only one I've found. There are others I've found, even whole corpses, which have a very similar head shape. So what also beggars the question here really is are some of these guys on Mars extremely large? Because some of the shoe sizes I'm finding are size 20. Some of them are tiny. Some of them are size 3, you know. This looks like an animal skull, petrified animal head. Found hundreds and hundreds of things like that. But what you've got to think about with the scale on Mars is, which is confusing a lot of people, is that there may not only be one culture, but the different cultures may also be very different in size. Much like we have on Earth, we have pygmies on Earth, we have African tribes that are 6-7 foot tall. You know, we have basketball players which are over 7 foot tall. You know, we have dwarf cultures. We have very small tribes in various parts of the world. It may be the same on Mars. So this may be why people are getting confused about what they're looking at here, because there may be 2 or 3 or 4 very different races on Mars that have evolved very differently. This is the shoe I'm on about from earlier on. I was chatting about. This one has laces also. When you see the enhancement, you will see it has quite fine laces. I can just about make them out. Sol 50 is a very grungy set, and it was difficult to squeeze out the detail here. I've just highlighted them there for you now, so you can see the laces sticking out either side of that shoe. This is, I'm 90% sure, is a shoe with laces, much like the bag and shoe I showed you earlier, and the boot, the leather boot with laces. I mean, I fully expect to find more of these. This is a standard sort of size. This one's about a size 10 or 12. Not huge, but there are some that are very, very large, and some of these alien skulls are very, very long. Some of them are 2 or 3 foot long. So that beggars the question, are some of these aliens really, really big? Judging by some of the shoe sizes I'm finding, I think some of them may be. Maybe they've just got very large feet, but some of these shoes, some of these items of clothing could be children's shoes. They could be, who's to say? I mean, it's very difficult when you're looking at these things to get an idea of scale. you've got to kind of work out from the width of the rover tracks in some of these images what kind of scale you're looking at here, and then run through the image sets, and then use that as a kind of ruler. I mean, it's very, very difficult to get an idea of scale. People really struggle with it. Some people are saying that some of the Martians may be tiny. I think maybe some of them are. Some of the little specimens and Martian skulls I found are very, very small, humanoid in appearance. This goblin type guy here, this is a small skull. It's only about 6 inches across, and this helmet of here also, this is only centimeters across. That's only about 10 centimeters. So you're talking about dwarf races of alien guys on Mars here. Some of them may be only a foot tall. Some of them I think are around 3 foot tall, and then you have some that are human sized and much larger, even 6 or 7 foot tall. So you have a real mixed bag. Pardon the pun. A real mixed bag of anomalies here, which only adds to the confusion, because basically you're trying to work out what these things are, but not only that, you're trying to work out the scale of these things. A lot of the pictures are obfuscated by NASA, and they put horrible filters on a lot of this stuff. It can be cleaned up if you Gaussian blur the images a bit, and if you up the DPI from 200 to 2000 and enlarge the images up to about 1920, or take clips like I've done here, you can clean the images up quite well. The key to it is to enlarge them bilinear. Use a bilinear enlargement, and that largely gets rid of the grungy pixelation and compression lines that are on these images. I hope that helps you. Well, anyway, it's all about scale, and there's obviously more than one culture on Mars, and they are different in technology and size. Bear that in mind when you're looking at this stuff. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you soon.